Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Sid Mickle Publications. Today we're going to cover video 3 of our 4-video set on the things you should do to absolutely write better. And today's subject is you must be 100% confident in your writing. And let me do this. Let me ask you all, the viewers of this video, a question. Do you agree with that comment? Do you agree that that is a very important point and that you must have that confidence? Drop it down in the comments and let me read those. Just let me know what you think. If you remember, we got started in this 4-video set with video 1 on writing your first best 10 pages. And the reason being, you want to get that reader's attention. You want to grab them. You want to arouse their curiosity and keep them moving forward and want to read more than those 10, 15, 20 pages to actually read chapter 1 and then move forward with your book. That's what you want to do in that opening. And you have to work very hard to make sure it's written well and it's structured to make that curiosity in the reader move them ahead. The second thing was something you hear me talk about in basically every video I do. And that is the fact that you must edit, you must rewrite, and then edit all over again. And that's something that is just the hard work and the discipline of writing a very good book. So today we're going to talk about the confidence factor, and I feel very strongly about this. If you're not 100% confident in your book, why should anyone else be confident enough to buy it, to read it, to write a review about it? You have to provide that, and the way you can do that is think about these topics we've covered previously and we're covering today. Now there's a 4th video, and that one deals with promotion and marketing. And very few indie authors want to think about that, but it's very important. We're going to leave that till next week. If you think about these 3 topics we are going into to start, they're all woven together. There's a common thread through each one. You can be confident, much more so, if your first 10 pages are outstanding and you know you're going to grab that reader. You're going to hook them. You're going to bring them into that book. You're going to be much more confident if you know that you have stayed close to your commitment and you've spent the time and the effort to edit, rewrite, and edit repeatedly. We talk about it all the time. Edit chapters. Chapters are made up of pages and pages, paragraphs, and paragraph sentences. You're going to tear apart the structure of that book and rebuild it as you edit over and over. You're going to make every paragraph the best it can be and lead to the next one, every page and every chapter the same way. That's what I mean when I say edit, rewrite, and edit. And remember, I'm an absolute proponent of having professional editing. I know it's costly. I know we're independent publishers and budgets are important. But I think it may be one of the 2 most important things. Obviously, writing a good book is the first thing. But if you write a good book and you got mistakes in it, it just hurts. It just drops down the whole view and the whole aura, the whole feel of that book. Get your professional editing done. Then when it comes back and you've got all those edits and you look at those red marks on that manuscript, you edit again and you start reading. You might have to do some editing after that. You may change that story a little bit more. But once you get to that professionally edited point, you have done a lot of rewriting. You've done a lot of corrections, and you spent a lot of times doing this. You want your characters to be fully developed. You want your timelines to fit and to move along the boundaries that you've established for your book. And when I say boundaries, you can bounce outside those boundaries occasionally, but you've got to bring the reader back to the main point, to the plot line. And you've got to do that with good, strong characters, primary and secondary. And we're going to talk about secondary characters in just a second. But if you think about that part of making sure that your book moves forward along your boundaries, and you have those guidelines that take you to the close of your book, to the real end of your plot, to the subject of your plot, you're making great progress. That's what you want to do in the end. You want to get to that point. You have a decision to make. Is that the end of those? Is it the end of those characters at the end of that story, or do you want to write a series? Again, a lot of thought goes into the beginning of the book on that subject, but I didn't think I was going to write a series when I wrote Who Killed Glenna until halfway through it, and I felt like that character had some future life to him. So remember, things can change as you write the book as they go along. You've done those two things, and that confidence level that you must have is going to be moved forward and is going to be strengthened by doing those first 2 points very well. I'll tell you this, when I wrote my first book, I did not have that confidence. I thought it was a great story. This book was not professionally edited. I edited it. It's got some errors in it. And I'm thinking about rewriting that book and getting rid of all those mistakes. I think there are very few, but I think it impacts the book, so I may do that later on. I did not have 100% confidence when I started selling that book to people. Selling as in telling, not retailing, but trying to promote that book and present it out there and have people get interested in it and buy it and read it. As I think about it today, I am so much more confident in even that first book. The story was good. The characters are good because they're true characters. They're real people. And I think the story came together quite well. As I wrote other things, my confidence grew because I had more experience. I was not as challenged with basic things in writing. A backwards glance. Who Killed Glenna? Then I went off the page a little bit and wrote 2 niche books and a business book that you see back here. Then I wrote my third book, which is called If I Could Turn Back Time. It's just a mystery. It's just a fictional mystery. And there is some space and time movement in there that is very complicated and it's hard to write. And if you don't write it well and you don't put a lot of attention to it, you look foolish. And I learned something. I learned that I can figure those things out and make them work in a book, and I can make them make sense. So If I Could Turn Back Time was the tipping point for me to gain confidence in my writing. I was very happy I was able to write that. I was very happy that the book was well received. Now, I think it is probably my second best writing effort. You heard me say before, Kill 'Em All, my latest book, is by far my best writing. And I don't say ever, because I hope book number 3 in the Sam Bennett series will be much better than any of the books. But those things help you grow. You can have confidence in book 1 if you follow these disciplines. If you think about these guidelines, these mile markers, if you want to call them that, in your book, you can have great confidence as you go across each one of those markers. And as you come back and you read and you edit, you can feel very good that you're doing the right things, that you're building this book in the right way. Again, plot line, timeline, and characters. So if we think about characters for just a second, let's take a little bit of a detour here. What book comes to your mind when you think about strong secondary characters? Several in my mind. Let's think about a really interesting show, a TV show. Now, obviously it's not a book, but it's acting and it's writing. A script had to be written. So when I talk about strong characters in a written story, something that comes to my mind is the TV show Justified. All these years later, most of us, without really knowing it, understand that the characters were all incredibly well developed. If you think about Raylan Givens, his wife Winona, his parents, his father Arlo, and stepmother Helen, you know them. They're there together. You know Boyd Crowder, you know Ava, you know those primary villains that he was up against. But you also know his partners. You also know that Rachel and Tim and his boss, they were all developed really well. Art, being the boss, was a primary character almost. He just kept coming back into that story so strongly. And then, of course, there's the two knuckleheads. You have Dewey and Dickey and Justified. So if you just think about how those writers made you feel like you were well connected and all those secondary and sideline characters were really well written and fully developed, keep that in your mind as you're going through your edit, your rewrite, and your edit. Again, as you bring your secondary characters back in touch with the primary character. That's a really tough thing to do. But if you spend the time, again, stay with your commitment and spend the disciplined hours making all your corrections and just making the story better, you'll write a very good book. And that's what we're talking about here. I hope it makes sense to you how these three things that we've now covered in 3 videos are very much linked. Your confidence comes from those other 2 steps much more so than anything else. It's not just an overall confidence bordering on arrogance that you're a great writer. It's confidence in the individual story, whether it's one of these I've written or this one, and your own stories. I'm extremely confident when I tell people they can buy any of these books. It'll be a great value. I'm 100% confident in it. I wasn't doing a good job early on of making sure I knew that and saying it. I didn't want to come across as being arrogant or being pushy. Well, no, stop thinking that way is what I said to myself. You've written good books. Tell people they're good and celebrate the fact that everyone you believe will enjoy them. Whether that's true or not, I believe that. I believe they should enjoy them. And that's something you have to have. You have to really develop that confidence from a point of being true within yourself. The thing that will get you there is hard work. And as always, that hard work comes from writing things over and over and fixing them, massaging them, making sure they're really as good as they can be. If you think about where we are, we've covered a little bit of the nuts and bolts of writing. Next week, again, as I said, we're going to get into promoting and marketing your book. It's where you put on a different hat. The writing work is over, but the work isn't over. Now you come into some of the hard work of figuring out how to promote your book. And we'll talk some more about that next week, and we'll get into some in-depth steps. But one of the things I want to do right now is go back and take questions. I've got a list of questions here, and you guys seem to really enjoy that. I get an awful lot of comments about how you enjoy us looking at questions from viewers, and I appreciate it. I really hope you will continue to ask questions. You'll continue to make comments, especially answer the question I asked early on about, are you in agreement with me when I say you must be 100% confident in your writing in order to produce and write the very best book you can. So let's get into question 1, and we've got some good ones here this week. The first one is from OT, first and last initials again. Why do you have a YouTube channel? I follow it, but I wonder why you do it. I don't think that's a zinger. I think that's a legitimate question, and here's the answer. I don't think it's ever a bad idea to put your writing, your books, the things you're trying to market and sell on camera and try to find people who will view them and think about them and potentially buy them. Every time you talk about your book, you're marketing it. Every time you talk about how good it is, you're promoting it. So that's why I do it. But the other thing is this. I really enjoy sitting down and trying to pass along some of the things that I believe will help writers. I've said this before. I wish I had a channel like this just from the standpoint of some guidelines, some bullet points, maybe some just markers along the way that would have helped me, that would save me a lot of time and would have given me so much information and just some practices, some really good practices, like going to your genre in a bookstore and reading their openings, look at their back matter, look at their chapters, things that are just functional that sometimes we don't think about because we're into writing. We want to get the writing going on, man. We're writers. But I appreciate that question, and I do it also because I really enjoy it. I enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy sitting down here and trying to maybe make some sense of this writing game and offering a few tips. Question 2 is from PD. Is the yellow car photo in your background the cover of your first book? And that would be that photo right there. Yes, PD, it is. It is the cover on a backwards glance. And no, those jeans were not purchased with a stylish hole in the knee. I tore that on a barbed wire fence. And the giant belt buckle, I probably wasn't in very much style. It's just the one I had. The dirty, worn out tennis shoes that have been noted to me in that photo, my terrible haircut, and the one size too small mesh football jersey have all been brought up to me before in that picture. But I loved it. I used to have this habit of having one of my sisters take a picture of me with every new car I owned, whether it be a new car or a used car. I just wanted to somehow take a picture of it. And I always did it in my mother's front yard. Yeah, quirky? Well, that's me. Unfortunately, I don't have any of them other than this one, and I do have this one saved. So it became the cover of the book. I really liked the photo. It just kind of embodied some of the nostalgia, some of the subject matter that went on in a backwards glance for me personally. This next question is from JN, and this is awesome. JN writes, this channel is low quality. There is poor editing, and it's amateurish. Actually, the editing isn't of poor quality. There is no editing. It's just one long take. That's how we do it. I don't edit. I don't edit because I really don't know how. And I'm afraid I mess things up. Whatever quality it is, I like it. I enjoy doing it. And I guarantee you it's amateurish because I am an amateur broadcaster. I'm not a professional. There's no giant Walter Cronkite microphone and great lighting. I'm always supported by the fact that I read things about YouTube followers liking just real people doing real videos. I find that the ones I follow, the channels I follow and watch the most are just real people. They are not super slick. They are not greatly edited. Now, they're all edited more than mine because I do know editing. Maybe I'll learn how to do that, as I've said later on. But thanks very much for the shot, but sorry, it is what it is. WK writes, I get the edit, rewrite, edit points, but how do I know it's right and I can publish? Well, we talked about that just briefly for a little while here, a few minutes ago. When you get your book back from that professional editor, and I always will tell you I strongly support having professional editing. It just upscales your book. It raises it to a totally different level when it's professionally edited. I think you can sneak by with an unprofessional cover, not a paid for cover, but for $50, $60, $70, I would get a professional with the cover no matter what. I will never try to do another cover. How do you know? Well, if you have reached that level of 100% confidence in that book, it means you have written that good opening, those first 10, 15 pages, and you have done a tremendous amount of editing and rewriting and editing more. You've gotten that professional edit back. You've added all your editor's changes, and you've once again gone back and looked at that manuscript, maybe read the entire book, and you feel like it's right. No one can do that. I can't do it. No one no family member, no advisor. It's in you. You will know when you reach that point, and it will come. My point is always do not rush, do not publish until you are absolutely sure it's right. That's the key thing that I try to get across. That's the tip I want to make the most predominant in our conversations. Professional editing, and don't publish until the book is really right. Question next is from ZC. This is one of my favorite questions so far in the several weeks we've been doing questions. And it's a statement. It's really not a question. Let me take that back. It is a statement, and it is a statement of this person's belief. You, sir, will never get 1,000 subs or 4,000 watch hours, you are wasting your time. Okay, it is my time to waste, should that be the case. What a shot, man. I don't know. We may not get to 4,000 watch hours. I will tell you this. I am extremely happy about the fact that before we started this videos, our subscriber count was 909. Believe it or not. And as you all know, not very many weeks ago, we were talking about someone busting on me saying I had 80 subscribers, and I made the point, hey, we're at 83. Don't sell me short. Well, we're at 909, and I am absolutely thankful to each and every one of you who have subscribed to the channel. I think we will get to 1,000. The watch hours may be really difficult. You know, that's the big league level with YouTube. And I just read recently that only 10%, think about that, 1 in 10 channel reaches that magic level, which is monetization. The 1,000+ subscribers and the 4,000 watch hours, I think, over the course of a year. That's a big achievement. We may not make it, but that doesn't change the fact that we're having fun doing it. I think it's got a chance to be helpful. As I've said to you in this video, I wish I had heard some of these tips when I was writing my first and my 7th and 8th book. So yeah, I'm having a good time, and I hope to prove you wrong. But anyway, question last. And this question is from JP. And JP writes, I just finished A Backwards Glance. Really liked it. As I read it, I felt like many times you were talking about my life. Well, I really appreciate you, first of all, buying the book, having the book, reading the book, and taking the time to write me a really nice comment like that. I truly appreciate it. And what is strange about that question and why I pulled that question out is you'd be shocked at how many times I have heard that from people. My high school football coach and I were fairly close in high school, but we, lost track of each other, of course, for probably 30, 35 years. And we reconnected. And he and I used to spend hours on the phone just talking about, old football games and what he had done, what I had done. And when I finished A Backwards Glance, I signed it, wrote him a note, and sent it to him. And he loved it. He read it. He sent me a note and said, I can't put it down. I'm having a great time reading it. Thank you. Well, one of the things that came from our conversations afterward was that he said, there were so many times I thought you were writing a story about my own life and my own struggles with growing up, my own struggles with fitting in. And I was stunned by that. Now, he was not that much older than we were in high school, probably 8 or 9 years, maybe less. But, to us, the authority figure, and I mean the authority figure, he said jump, I said how high, and away we went. But to hear him talk about relatable things to some of the questions I ask, and I ask in this book, not who am I, but what am I doing? I knew who I was, but I wasn't really sure why I was doing the things I was doing and what I was doing, and what was the purpose of me even being around to do them. I questioned why I didn't enjoy things, and I questioned why I didn't know how to like things and to be happy. And writing this book really helped me answer those questions. It helped me get to a point where I was very comfortable in my own skin. That's why I love this book so much. And I think that's why I'm so confident now about, recommending it and being happy to talk about it. And my high school coach, a couple of friends, and now a random follower on the channel says almost the exact same words. I think there is a connection to people, be they male, female. I think it's just a look back at a nostalgic time and a time of insecurity in a young person's life. And my insecurity traveled with me far past my young years, far into my adulthood. And there's still times that I have to fight the urge to just really question, am I doing the right thing? Am I happy? And I stop and I think, you're very happy. You've got a great life. You're the luckiest guy in the world. So, Things like writing a book can do more than just produce a printed copy with your name on it. It can help you answer some personal questions. So again, JP, I really appreciate that comment. I'm so happy you're reading the book and enjoying it. Maybe you will write a book, your first, your fifth, your 10th, whatever. Maybe you will write a book that helps you with some questions. Maybe you'll write a book that helps someone else with some questions. Maybe you'll just write a book that entertains the heck out of somebody. And that's a lot. That's a really big thing. And I hope you do. And I truly believe if you follow these first 3 steps we've talked about in this 4-video series, writing a great opening 10 to 15 pages, doing all the hard work of editing, rewriting, and editing, and doing all that work to the degree that you can honestly look people in the eye and tell them you have 100% confidence in the value of this book, its readability, and the fact that they'll enjoy it. I think that really is the answer. And like I said earlier, we'll talk about next week that next layer of work, which is marketing and promoting your book. And yes, I know a lot of us don't want to talk about that, but we're going to. We're going to do it next week. We're going to talk about some nuts and bolts things to do. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I've certainly enjoyed doing it. We will come back next Tuesday with that 4th and final video from this series about things you must do to be a much better writer, to produce better material. That's the gist of it. So until we come back, everybody, please take care, be safe, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again. We'll see you on next Tuesday. Bye-bye.